Welcome to Whiskey and Windage, the 2A podcast for the people, by the people. I'm your host, Mike from OCA, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Adam from Silver Bullet and Matt from Burning Powder. What's going on, gentlemen?
Oh, Mike, doing great, brother.
Life is beautiful, my friend.
Man, yes it is. Yes it is. I'm a little under the weather, but no excuses. The show must go on. So,
good to have you.
Yeah, so today, man, it's going to be a really good show. I'm excited. You know, we always preach that we are about the 2A. We always preach about joining the community together. And today we have a guest on from another 2A podcast. And it's all about building those bridges, making those friendships, and continuing on forwards together. Just like we always say we're all about. So it's going to be a pretty exciting show. I can't wait to see what all topics come up. But before we get into that, I think it's time for a little bit of 2A news. So without further ado, Adam, take it away, brother.
All right, guys. So, interestingly enough, a federal judge ruled that the post office is being unconstitutional by not allowing firearms in the post office. So, most of you guys know, you walk to a post office, there's that little sign that has a gun, usually an old revolver with an X through it. That's actually been ruled unconstitutional by a judge. However, that does not mean that the rule is going to change automatically. That does not mean that every post office carry a gun now. That means that there was a case involved with this, and the judge said, hey, yeah, that someone was said they had a firearm in a post office, and now they're like, what's going to happen? So, funny enough, guys, that didn't become a thing until 1972. Prior to that, you could carry a firearm in a post office. No one cared. And from what I read is they were trying to use the same legality that they use on military installations, because on a military installation, you cannot bring a firearm on. So more to come with that, guys. It is interesting. I can tell you that I have never, ever once walked into a post office with a gun on me. Never happened. Ever once. Right, guys?
It's got the sign.
It's usually a cardboard box when I mail it out to some other FFL, but yeah, I do it quite often.
Exactly.
You got the paperwork. You got the paperwork.
Yeah, Mike's legal with it, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one, guys. But also, SHOT Show is coming up in a week? We're a week out of SHOT Show? No, actually, it's this week. SHOT Show is this week when we're recording now.
SHOT Show is going to be the week we drop this one, so this will kick off SHOT Show. Yeah. So, SHOT Show, this is your cue, man. Go ahead and start after this gets going.
Everybody have fun,
guys. And guys, 2025 SHOT Show, Whiskey and Windage is going to own it. I don't know how exactly yet. I don't know the details. I just know I'm speaking into existence that we are going to own SHOT Show 2025.
Man, we got a lot coming up this year too, though. I mean, you've still got the homies Jay and Juan down there in Texas. Like, Texas is the hotbed for the first of the year. You've got that with Pew Party 3. Then the other homie, Country Chris, just sent details to Kalash Bash. That's in April. So, I mean, you know, man, mark your calendars and save that tax return, people, because you've got some travel opportunities coming for damn sure.
Yeah,
I did want to.
What were you gonna say, Matt?
That ruling in the news, like, before we get too far off that, like, that's interesting because just as a strange collectible, like, a friend of mine who's a letter carrier for the post office was gifted by his grandfather or his uncle or somebody a revolver that was the what they call them, the postmaster general's Smith & Wesson revolver, and it used to be given to you when you made postmaster general, and that was the revolver that you carried on your route. And now, like, even employees aren't able to carry a weapon and defend themselves, and they get robbed for skeleton keys and mugged and beat up all the time, and they don't have that right. So That's
No,
kind of
they
why
don't.
that
Your town's a
article.
lot different than mine. I don't know if the postmaster general ever leaves his office in our local office. I know he didn't deliver
Well, the
mail.
revolver was an old thing before the 70s, like Adam was saying.
So's my
They started in the
postmaster general.
70s. Yeah.
He's an old thing. Big
But
deal.
used to be commonplace that letter carriers carried a weapon and could defend themselves and defend our mail. But not the case anymore.
Not
So
anymore.
hopefully
Not
that
anymore,
does
guys.
turn around.
Damn.
No, that'd be the
Hopefully
case.
that
But
turns
guys, besides that, that's about all we got for 2A News today. Not too much going on, but that's actually sometimes a good thing in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Sure.
I mean, before we jump into our 5-minute review with Matt, boys, you know what time it is.
T-shirt time? It is 12:10.
It's t-shirt time.
So
Hell
this is
yeah,
the
t-shirt
segment
time.
where we actually are going to discuss what we're rocking today, supporting the small businesses, especially the 2A businesses or our homies. And I guess I'll start first.
Plug that drip, dude.
Yeah,
Plug
we'll
that
go ahead
drip.
and plug it. So right now I'm plugging the Gun Daddy shirt. Just sent us all some stuff. Adam,
Y'all know
speaking
the
of
font.
letter carriers, he got his address wrong. So, things happen, especially in our public schools and education, evidently. We can't remember our addresses, but things like this
Guilty.
happen. Yeah.
Guilty.
So, Matt's done it too. So there it is.
I have.
So yeah, I'm sporting the Gun Daddy, and then of course I'm rocking the Finance and Maneuver beanie, man. Matt, what's up with you, bro?
Bro, this is one of my favorite hats, this white feather tactical hat. I've been rocking it for a while now. I genuinely love it. Love white feather. So I'm also rocking a Gun Daddy. A little
hell yeah.
little bit different design. It's got the skeleton with the RPG on the back.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
That looks pretty dope as hell.
Peaceful but dangerous. Kind of how I roll. So I love the Gun Daddy shirts.
Yeah,
Super
Adam,
comfy, cool prints.
I was gonna say, Adam, I see a logo on that shirt that I'm familiar with. What are you rocking, bro?
So I'm rocking the guy that has a man crush on me. He loves everything I do and
Wait,
sends
are
me
you
love
saying
notes.
he's attracted to you,
Oh, he's extremely attracted. Like he's like a magnet almost. But
even though you're polar
yeah.
opposites? Wow.
But yeah, we're representing our
the
home.
pull is strong.
Yeah, it's very strong, very strong. But I am repping the homie magnet over at Lion Arms down in Florida, so gotta rep him. Also, my boy Josh at 1156 Productions, guys, go follow my boy as well. When you talk about
Cool
cinematography, photography, yeah, dude, he's awesome. He is. I hope I get half as good as him at taking photos and videos. He's amazing.
Yeah.
So rocking the
Cool
homie.
stuff.
Yeah. So definitely shout out and go support Gun Daddy. Go buy their shirts. Go buy their swag. They're good people. You know how we feel about Finance. Finance are our homies. They're good people. Definitely go check the Florida man out down there at White Feather Tactical. Check out Josh at 1156. And then if that Florida man at White Feather isn't good enough for you, there's another Florida man, and that is Mr. Magnet at Lion Arms. And go check him out. He's also a custom builder. So if I'm not building your AR, he better be. So there's
Preach.
that, man. So that's our swag for the day. So without further ado, yeah, Matt, you ready to hit this review, brother?
Let's go, dude.
Well, here we go, man. Let's hit it.
It's the 5-minute review.
Hell yeah. So this week on the 5-minute review, y'all should go buy Whiskey and Windage Reviews on YouTube. Make sure that you're subscribed there, but we'll have my review. We call it the Whiskey and Windage Vintage Review, where I cover something from my collection that may not, just be laying on the shelf at every gun store that you walk in, but if you like it, want to check it out, it's kind of like a public service announcement of if you see it, maybe snag it for you. But I'm going over the Sig Sauer P226 Mark 25. So they claim it's an exact 1-to-1 copy of the Mark 25 that they did for Navy Special Warfare, but it is the commercial version. It's not It's not a surplus weapon or anything, but I cover that. Really awesome, double action, all metal SIG. It's a sweetheart. It's one of my favorite things, and I shoot the living tar out of it. So get on over there, check it out at Whiskey and Windage Reviews YouTube, and tell me what you think.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Guys, no further ado, I want to welcome on our guest today, Steve from Range Minded Podcast. Steve, welcome to Whiskey and Windage, man. Dude, I'm so happy to have you on. We've done a bunch of lives together. We kind of got to know each other. And I'm not sure how we found each other. I think it was because we had the podcast, the algorithm found another podcast. I'm trying to remember how we actually linked up.
I don't even remember. I don't know if I found you on with your handsome body on Instagram or something. I'm not quite sure what happened.
It happens. It happens.
Hey, hold on. I think he was talking to me. He said handsome body. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be here. It's awesome. I love being a guest on other people's shows. It's kind of fun to be on the other side of the mic once in a while.
Well, honestly,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
man. I was going to say, we think it's important because I don't know if you feel the same way we feel, but I mean, we don't view anybody, and we're not cocky. We're doing something different. We don't view anybody in the 2A realm that is doing a podcast, whether it be audio, video, a combination, anything they're doing. We don't view any of them as competition. We view all of them as our community, and we view all of them as family, because without people like yourself, without people like Adam, Matt, myself, not all of the news and not all of the grassroots, vibes and sentiments get out there. So we all have an important role to play, and no matter how big or small any of us are, we're all equals. I mean, of course, you got your grand thumbs and all those people. Of course, they're the big giants, and good for them. And
Right.
I don't know personally if I'd even really want that attention.
Sometimes I want that money. I'm not going to lie.
The money I want. The attention, I don't necessarily know. I mean, when you get people mad at you because you're not responding to your IGDMs because someone says, hey, I want to come check it out. Can I come to Demo Ranch and see what you're doing, Matt? And the answer's no, but he doesn't have time to answer that junk. And people get mad at him for it. Like, I wouldn't want that stuff.
No.
On the last episode I did, I actually kind of talked about. I end up monologuing a lot in my show, a lot.
Yeah.
And the last episode, I actually talked about that, how we're all on the same team. When I was working the gun counter, we would have employees bitch about other gun shops in town, ragging them down and telling them how crappy they were. But in reality, we all have the same damn goal. We need to increase the 2A family this year more than any, I feel. And we got to work together.
Yeah.
It's time to stop, get rid of the pride. Let's work together.
I find that interesting what you just said there, because I guess I'm like Batman. At night, I'm a podcast legend.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but during the day, I'm a dumb construction worker, and I have a company that I work with.
Me too.
But the thing is when we go out and sell a job for construction, I don't beat down the competition. When customers ask me why, hey, what makes you different from this guy, or why should I choose you over them? I tell everybody, you're not going to get me to say anything bad about them. We all have jobs that deserve to be on the cover of a magazine. We all have jobs that we wish we could bury and never speak of again.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way that I'm going to win you over is with transparency, honesty, and good customer service. If you like those things, come to me. If not, and you want to save a buck, have at it. Go see the other guys, and I wish you the best of luck. I hope you don't call me to fix it, but I'm not going to say you are. And I think that's the same with our podcast and what you do and everything. It's, you probably started. Well, I want to ask, why did you start your podcast?
So, honestly, today I'm trying to think, what year did I start? I've got
2018,
Adam?
I believe.
Adam says 2018.
2018, I believe, right?
2018. I can't even remember, dude. I'm so old.
I'm
my
pretty
brain
sure.
is mush. So, when I was working in Boise, the largest indoor shooting range in Idaho was Independence Indoor Shooting, And so originally this podcast was associated with that range. I was the number 2 guy there. I ran the range, taught all the range officers. I'm the cool range safety officer. I'm not going to kick you off the range for having a suppressor or shit like that. But then we decided, there's so many people coming into the community that have so many questions that why don't we just branch out as a store and reach a different audience in a different way. And so it was originally 3 of us back in the day. It was Ricky, Mark, and I. And they all kind of went their separate ways. I decided once I couldn't afford to live in Boise, I decided that I'd take the podcast with me, and the store was cool with it. And I've been on my own since shit, I don't remember. Dude, I'm telling you, my brain is mush. It's been a couple years.
So you started it, as a means to kind of help first bring awareness to your business, place you were working.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, everybody has those dreams. You start something, you hope one day you're not doing it for free. I mean, we all end up doing it for free, but like we hope like, it'd be cool to get paid once. But I think the reason I think the reason we started this, we started ours because, when you go out there and you listen and you start searching on your podcast platforms, it's very apparent that we all suck severely at SEO, like that search engine optimization, because when you start looking for 2A based podcasts, you get We Like Shooting, Primary, Secondary, Hornady. There's a couple others, that Iraqi veteran, the old Iraqi veteran 8888 with Chad, that was there. And there were a couple, and you listen and like, I liked this episode, but I didn't care about the next 4. And I only liked this one episode from Hornady, and the rest of the time I didn't care about the bullets ogive, and I didn't care how many feet per second I was losing by dropping to, 24.2 grains of powder of bullseye powder versus, 24.6 of Farragut. Like I don't care.
Right.
I just want to shoot it and it go boom. So I wanted to start a podcast doing stuff that I wanted to listen to and that I thought was interesting. And it was like, well, hopefully other people feel the same way. And when I pitched this idea to Matt and I pitched it to Adam, they both were like, heck yeah, dude. Like,
I told you fuck no, unless I'm the fucking star of the show. We can't do it. No.
So we had to, so he thinks he's the star, but no, actually, we don't care about any of that, but
no, not at all.
But we wanted, like, we all have different avenues in the 2A, but we all like our different things. We all have similar likes and and differences, but we wanted to put a product out there that we enjoyed, and we wanted to have fun and laugh and cut up. And it's probably similar to what you originally started out doing with your other 2 co-hosts.
Oh man, I mean, we would laugh more than anything. Like I remember one episode, Mark, who's a top 40 DJ now somewhere in, he does all sorts of audio stuff. Anyway, he found all sorts of sound effects, and I don't even think the audience could hear the shit he was doing. But there was about 15 minutes of me just hilariously, like, unable to breathe, laughing so damn hard. And I'm sure the listeners are like, what the f is going on with this guy? Is he high?
Oh, you can. Oh, by the way, you can say fuck. We're free speech here.
Yeah. So, well, it's funny you say that. Yeah, because we had, if we ever want to release the From the Vault, there was one episode where I was hell bent we had to record, and they were ready, and I showed up, and it just so happened that we had planned to record, and it was like, all right, I'm going to eat some Mexican. And
Margarita Monday.
I went with the wife for Margarita Monday, and we just so happened to put down about a pitcher and a half of margaritas. And when I mean I mean me and the mouse in my pocket. And I showed up to this podcast, and all I could do was just put my head in my hands. And they're like, are you ready? And I'm like, I'm saving my energy. Y'all just tell me when to go.
I'm just resting.
We were there. I watched it like 3 days later. I watched these guys patiently waited with me for about an hour and 15 minutes of trying to get my shit together until it was determined we were going to film tomorrow.
Yeah,
was
like
like,
we're gonna.
okay, my bad.
Yeah.
I think at this
It was-
point though, like every one of us has fucked up something because we got too
Yes.
drunk. I think
No,
we're
I
all
have
about
not-
equal
not-
at this point.
Not on a podcast.
Are you
I've
sure?
done it on live. I
Adam?
have not fucked up being
Adam?
too drunk on a podcast.
All right, I'm throwing
Adams,
a challenge
okay.
flag right
All right,
here.
Still
Mike's
This
gonna
is
go
where
find it.
this is
Adam's
where the
still
pause
sober?
happens and the truth comes out. But yes,
All right. Truth will come out. Mike will
Yes.
go find it.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I've got
go
it. I've
find
got
it.
it all on a hard drive.
Oh, Adams. When I said Adams,
Oh, yeah, he couldn't even say his own
Yeah.
name right. Have you ever gone back and before we get further into your journey, I want to ask because we laugh at ours. Have you ever gone back and watched like one of the first few that you ever did, or listened to one of the first few you ever did, and realized like, oh, this is unbearable? Like, what
I
was
actually have
doing?
not. Like, when I put an episode in the can, I do not revisit it. I don't know why. Probably because,
Man.
like, when you sit here till 2 a.m. trying to upload freaking audio to the internet, you're just like, I'm tired of this
Yeah.
shit. So
Yeah.
I don't think I. Well, that's not true. I've had my wife as a guest a couple times. I had my son as a guest once, and who sounds just like me, and I feel bad for the listeners because he
Like,
sounds
he's talking to
exactly like
himself.
me, and so they didn't know what the hell was going on. So I haven't. I
Yeah.
probably should, and then realize, man, I don't sound so bad.
Yeah, listen to one of your first ones so you can laugh. And we were actually told to do that by one of our mentors in the game, and it was Tyler over at Antihero.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, go back and listen to one of your firsts after you've got a couple under your belt." He was like, "Just so A, you can feel the growth, but B, so you can have a really good laugh." And I mean, we've dug
Yeah.
all the way back. I've found stuff. Our first podcast, hell, I've went further back and found stuff on Adam. I mean, we have soundbite after
dear.
soundbite of just,
This is my friend,
Adam.
and he's really cool because he is a
Gunsmith.
just shit like that. If you could see the
hate you.
video that goes with it, they're hilarious. Matt can't even keep it together on this.
That's
I
awesome.
can't. It's
it was
killing
my
me.
first time on YouTube ever.
Look,
so
dude.
fuck you
Look,
guys.
go back early in my YouTube and Instagram. It's not any better. I mean, I don't claim that I'm a gunsmith, but it's not any better.
That's an
It's
adjective.
not a.
It's
It's,
an
not a
adjective.
protected term.
It's not a protected term. We know, Adam.
It's an adjective now. We know.
I'm gonna have to go find that video.
No, dude.
Oh, God.
I'll send you the.
Mike's gonna. Oh fuck you, Mike.
I'll
I
send
hate
you the
Adam
link.
should put it
I'll
up as
post it
his,
with this
as
podcast.
his pronouns on
Nice.
Instagram.
Nice.
It actually was a good video. We did a Glock switch. We changed out a Glock trigger. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever.
I'm proud.
You know
of
what?
I do want to say though, like we're two different podcasts coming together. We need to tear down walls and open doors for everybody. And it's like the more digital handshakes you can make, the more that your name gets out there, the more somebody recognizes you. And it's kind of like, I don't know. Do you remember on cable TV when there was like 1 or 2 gun shows? Wouldn't you
When they
rather
were
have had?
when we had free TV, like
Yeah,
free as in,
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
open TV.
Yeah, there'd be 1 or 2 gun shows, but you had to skip around, and it was only like here and there, and it'd come up on the History Channel or the Discovery Channel once a
Yeah.
week. But wouldn't it be better to just have like a whole network that was a bunch of different gun channels, or going on Spotify to try and find Second Amendment based podcasts? It's like, wouldn't it be better? Even if this one podcast isn't your thing, wouldn't it be better if they were all tight and everybody was all together? And
Oh yeah.
so
I mean-
it was easier to find everybody.
And the reality is, like, even though the anti-gun population doesn't want to admit it, we are gaining pro-gun supporters hand over fist.
Yeah,
I
true.
mean, we sold what 16 million guns or something over the last few months have been purchased.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So, and a lot of those, I guarantee, are first-time gun buyers.
the last
So we have this
three
new-
years
we
have
this
just been
new.
breaking records.
Yeah, every year it's been ridiculous numbers. So we have this new pool of virgin gun owners. I don't know how else to put it. That are looking for information. And sure, they can jump on YouTube and they can find Grand Thumb or they can find Donut or any of these guys. and they can get some solid information, but most of it's like goofy, high speed, cool guy stuff.
Right.
And a lot of those folks aren't going to relate to that because they're so new to the community. So, and the thing about having a bunch of podcasts being homies and being together is those new family members can pick and choose, and they be like, hey, Range Might likes these guys, so maybe I'll check these guys out, or vice versa, or whatever. You know what I mean? So it is something that we need to do as a community to help the community continue to grow and be free.
Yeah.
Well,
No, dude,
I
that's
completely agree
awesome.
with you on that. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about what you're doing, what we're doing, and we're basically showing that, you know, if we're in competition with you, then the only thing I can say is we're fighting over $1, literally $1, and I'm not going to fight anybody over $1. I'll let you have it, and we can just be cool. I mean, like, hey, let's talk about it. Pick your dollar up. Let's go grab a beer.
I'm too damn old to be petty. Like, I am out of high school. I don't need to worry about that horse shit anymore. I would rather make friends and have somebody that's gonna watch my six when shit goes down than somebody that's gonna stab me in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else we've said on our show that, you know, I'd be interested to hear your take on is, you know, we always make the jokes and the jabs at the far left, but, you know, we also don't hold our punches and say, you know, hey, that far right is just as scary and just as dumb looking. I mean, I don't care if you're the left or the right, when the people stand up on the news and say they demand the mass shooting stop and they demand the violence in the schools stop, like, I'm here to tell you, like, I agree to that too. Like, we're not saying, no, you got to deal with that stuff. Like, as 2A advocates, we agree and we don't condone that stuff either. But, you know, there's checks and balances. And every time you start looking at these receipts and adding it all up, there's a big underlying cause or a root cause of all of these things. And, you know, it's I don't know if we're ever going to be able to get it under control, but I mean, mental illness it's a real thing. And I'm no, you know, psychiatrist. I'm no doctor. I can't tell you, you know, the varying degree of mental illness and what degree should we start talking about possibly removing rights. I don't even know if we can. Like, I don't know where that is. It's way outside my pay grade.
Yeah.
But until someone says something that, you know, they say common sense gun laws. Well, until someone can talk to me about some common sense mental illness, like, we don't have a conversation like that.
Well, that's because there's a lot of back scratching going on with pharma and left and right side aisle folks that pretend to be our leadership. There's a lot of money being made on stuff, and they just hide it under the carpet, and then they use the excuse of violence and blame it on a tool that is completely inanimate and cannot do anything. It honestly saves more lives than takes every year.
I mean, it's weird to me. You got that lady governor, I guess. Where's she at? In New Mexico, Arizona right now? She's trying to
the
take
Queen of Albuquerque
New Mexico.
is what I call it.
New Mexico.
She's trying to raise the firearms age from 18 to 21 now, and she thinks that that's the problem, and it's like that's going to help curb gun violence. And it's like, you know, I don't know how to say this without making it sound so stupid and I guess unfiltered, but if we want to raise the rights to from 18 to 21, and you think that's going to fix it, I would love for her to tell me her feelings on how she feels about people who tuck their wiener between their legs and pretend they're a girl.
Well, that's
tell me
completely different because that's
normal
safe behavior.
But tell me that that's normal.
Yeah.
She grew up in a time where if someone did that, she can't publicly say it, but she grew up in a time where if her little brother or her older brother tucked his wiener and ran around like a girl, her dad, I don't know if he would have been violent, but her dad would have put a stop to it. Her mom would have put a stop to it. The pastor would have put a stop to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is when you feel an urge like that, there's a bigger underlying issue. And
Correct.
until we can take care of those issues, they're always going to project further. It's just like windage. if that scope is not completely square on your rifle, it may be a 30-second out at the muzzle, but 200 yards out, it's varied so far that it's a foot off.
Right.
And it's the same thing with these mental illnesses. It may just look like a sliver of, oh, it's just slightly wrong. But when you look at its travel and how far it projects out in the future, it gets further and further away from that line that is called normal or typical, and they don't want to look at that. I don't know.
And
I
it
mean,
certainly
Mike-
seems that
Yeah.
there's a proliferation in mental disorders. Like, I remember when I was a kid, like, we never talked about ADD. We never talked about autism. Not saying they didn't exist, but it sure seemed like there was a lot less of it to have an issue with it. And obviously, we never had gender dysphoria, or we did, but I never really worried about it because that was, 0.02% of the population at most. It's things are so much different now. So what is causing that is the question.
So I'm in the medical field, and I can tell you right now, the problem isn't, and Mike, you mentioned this, the problem isn't what level do we take rights from mental illness. The problem is the mental illness care. We keep giving less and less. We keep giving it not where it needs to be. Also, like, if it's like brainwashing a child, like cults do it, horrible people in other countries have done it for a long time to create kids. So if I take a small child and I keep telling them it's okay, you can decide what gender you want to be, or maybe you're not this gender. Like, you're literally brainwashing that child. So that's why, like, that part is also, and that can create a mental illness. So mental illness can be a diagnosis where you're born with it, or you can create it through, like, brainwashing or conditioning.
MK Ultra.
Conditioning, yeah.
That's conditioning. So
Yeah.
exactly right. Dude, that's spicy, and you're spot on. So the problem is this country has given less care to mental illness, and we care about all these other things, but it's purposely. It's I can tell you this. It's strategically done. It's not done out of not caring. It's done for another reason. That's all I'm going to say.
That's certainly
Yeah, a
how
lot
it
of-
feels, for sure.
A lot of the community is like, well, don't you see? And it's like, obviously everybody sees, but it's a nonsensical attack on our rights. And so they're not going to recognize anything that makes sense. They're going to, of course, denounce it as non-truth or fake news or whatever. And there's almost no point in just screaming the facts. I mean, state it, and the followers, the people with the brain, are going to listen. But there's...
Yeah, Matt, I was gonna say I treat mental illness a lot like other. It's an illness. It's a disease.
For sure.
It's a mental disease, and I treat it just like any other disease. Someone standing up to me and saying, "Hey, standing up and saying I have PTSD." I'm going to acknowledge that, and that's a huge step for someone to come out and say it.
Yeah.
I'm going to applaud them at the time for saying it, and then it's, what are you going to do about it? I'm not going to applaud you because you have it. I'm applauding you because in the 12 steps, and I'm going alcohol and drug here, in the 12 steps, the first step is admitting there is an issue.
That there's some sort of problem, yeah.
So when you stand up as an alcoholic and you say, I have a problem with drinking, I'm going to applaud it because you're usually the last person to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you continue on the other 11 steps, you're going to gain support throughout and along the way. If you tell me, hey, Matt, my name's Mike and I'm an alcoholic, and you're like, damn, bro, whatever you need from me, I got you. Well, man, I'd really love it if you go buy me a beer. Like, that's kind of what's happening in this world.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, I'm a tranny. Well, damn, what can I do for you? I would love to find a dude that likes trannies. Well, hell, let's help you find one, and like, it's applauded, and that shouldn't be the applause in my belief. And this belief is my own. It's not Whiskey and Windage's. It's not anybody here's. It's mine. It's not even necessarily my family's or my religious belief. It's in my brain. I think that admitting it is a huge step, but that's the small step. What you do after that is the battle. It's just like the drug addict. Admitting you have a problem is the easiest step.
Well, there's
Yeah,
so many
staying off-
monsters.
Yeah.
staying
ahead.
off that drugs hard, and
Yeah.
it seems like the country is enabling the illness, and so it's almost like a repetitive cycle that the country doesn't want the person to stop feeling that way. They keep applauding and keep naming men woman of the year and letting men compete in women's athletics and thinking it's cool and like, yay, this is cool. That's so great that he tucked his wiener and stood up and swam with these girls. Like, no, dude, like he sucked as a male swimmer and couldn't win, and he admitted this after the fact.
The
He
best
went out
female
there-
boxer in the world.
Yeah, set some records. Yeah, if Mike Tyson right now said, I think I'm going to be Michelle Tyson and I'm going to go out and I'm going to box, man, if he threw a wig on and went out there and hit, you know, all these people are older now, but like hit old Layla Ali, man, she'd be shaking like her daddy. Like, that is not
Her
cool
dad
as hell.
turn
And I
over.
went low right there, and I'm sorry, people, but like, that's just not right.
It's not.
No.
I mean, dude, no.
Well, it
I
kind
don't
of feels
know.
like there's the powers that be want to tribalize and put people in these camps to divide and control. This is my opinion, right? Like, obviously, this is just, I guess, my gospel in a way. So they're over there. If they can divide us and put us in camps, then they can control each camp
We're
individually
easy to conquer.
and have
Yeah.
us fighting against each other while they do whatever they want. Now you
Yep.
can call it conspiracy or whatever. The older I get, the more
just the
that
truth.
makes a lot of sense to me. That it's all about the control, and they'll do whatever it takes to a person's soul to have control over them.
Yep.
I'll
So
take it one
Adam
step
and
further.
I,
Yeah.
go ahead, Adam.
Go ahead. Oh, I'll take
No,
it one
no,
step
no.
further than that. What's that, Mike? Oh, so I'll take it one step further than that. We let all the immigrants come in. Now we're going to let them vote. And now they were given freedom by this party. Then we have all these children we're conditioning now. We're not giving them we're stopping the mental health care because we're going to tell them it's okay to do all these things. When 20 years ago, 10 years ago, we would have had mental health care, and it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Now we don't give that mental health care. Go look at the stats. Mental health care in this country has plummeted. So now we can take all these people and say it's okay that you want to do all these things. So what's going to happen in 10 years? We've now conditioned the American kids right now, they're going to be voters in 10, 15 years a certain way. We now let all these immigrants in that now think that certain party is a savior. So now in 10, 15 years, if we keep going this route, well, now you literally control the masses.
Because when they wake up and change their mind, they're going to be deemed mentally incompetent and won't be allowed to vote. So their votes will no longer swing and change.
So
There-
either way, it doesn't matter.
All the
Adam and I was gonna say-
druggies are allowed to shoot up in public. Like,
So
first-
Adam and I were talking about this today, and I was offline talking about it with Adam, and we were talking about constitutionalists, and we were talking about there is no such thing as an absolute constitutionalist, and I will fight anybody on the planet for that. And I say that, and we can start with the First Amendment, freedom of speech. We don't have freedom of speech. If we say if you're getting patted down by the TSA guy and you start singing bomb bomb bomb, you're getting searched. You get on the plane and you say,
Bomb.
it's a ticking time bomb in here. Guess who's getting asked to get off that plane? Do not pass go, do not collect $200. You're not allowed to say, that somebody needs to shoot blah, whatever it is. Like, you can't say that, no matter if you're joking or not. You can't say it. So our speech is already being infringed.
100%.
Then we'll go to the Second Amendment. Anybody who says shall not be infringed. I usually don't say this online because it's ammo, but I'm going to say it. Anybody who says shall not be infringed under no circumstance must be okay with grenades being sold at Walmart and someone that has money being able to buy a nuclear weapon.
Back in the day, man, that's how it was. You
Shall
owned
not
all the
be
military. It was a
infringed
private
because-
military.
Because if you say, well, I mean, not nuclear, well, nope, that's infringed. If they had sharks with freaking laser beams, shall not be infringed. You can buy them. So we, as a people, infringe ourselves saying, yeah, we probably should not have nuclear weapons, and you probably shouldn't be able to buy
That's a moral
hand grenade at
compass
Walmart.
issue at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. But what we do say is I think that the person should be able to buy the F-16.
100%.
If they've got the money, they just can't buy the missile. And if they can somehow make that trigger fire semi-automatic so it meets ATF spec on the front of the bird, cool. It meets regulation. Pow, 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 pow. Like, own it. If you got the money, buy it.
I know a guy that owns a MiG over here in Rexburg.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So that's badass, actually.
He flies it in shows.
But we were talking about it, and we were talking about constitutionalists, and it went all the way back to when it got ratified. It got ratified. One thing got ratified because one political party wasn't. They were in fear of losing power and being in fear of continually losing elections, and so there was a move that was made to ratify something in the Constitution, and what it changed was it then started to allow people who did not own land, gave them the right to vote. I'm torn on it a little bit, but if that were to be enforced right now, a lot of this blue problem would go away.
Yeah, just look at the map. Look at the map of the country.
They have zero invested in this country. They do not own land. They have nothing invested. They expect. There are certain people that expect that the government take care of them. With free schooling, I'm just going to stay in school as long as I can, and then they better. It's not fair that I'm not rich now, so you should take away my school debt. That's bullshit. Like, you know. The landowners that pay property tax and that have made something of themselves that enabled them to afford a piece of property, those are the people that are paying those debts for you. Like,
it's true.
And so we went down this rabbit hole, and we were just talking about how crazy everything gets ratified, and the only way we figured that you could really fix it, and it's shock and awe, but you're going to have to pick 2 reds, 2 blues, 2 indies. Hang them.
Hang them.
Find them guilty of treason, because it's real easy to find. You could find 6.
This was a lot better country when we used to tar and feather people.
Well, but the rest of them in office are going to realize that the people mean business.
Checks and balances, right?
And you know, I'm not particularly fond or thrilled of the person sitting in the seat of president right now. But it also pisses me off, and I hope people give me shit for this, but it also pisses me off when people like Green and Boebert disrespect the chair. You don't have to like the person. You don't have to. There's nothing written. I don't like the fucking person. But you have to respect that chair at all times, because if we don't respect the chair itself, we're already lost as a country.
It's like the political structure's like this giant pendulum, right? And and center is free, right? There's a great book if you haven't read it, it's called 5,000 Year Leap. I highly suggest it. So there's this pendulum that's our freedom. Somebody comes into office, it kind of shifts that pendulum a little bit, and then it'll swing back. And then somebody says, well, that's crazy, that's too much. And they hit it hard, and it keeps swinging back and forth. Now, we got parties that are swinging the pendulum so hard that it is literally taking it to the extreme boundaries of left and right. I think we can all agree that extreme right is just as shitty as extreme left.
Amen.
Yes, 100%.
Because on each end, we're losing freedom.
Yes.
And the problem is trying to bring that pendulum, calm it down, and bring it back to center, because everybody is so they like the extreme, just like you're saying, Green and Boebert, they like the extreme pressure from that right side because they feel like nobody's listening to them, or they stand as a voice for somebody, which is fine, they do, but if you're going to be an ass about it, you're pushing that pendulum in a way that's going to be hard to stop. And
it's the same way as when you yell at
right.
It's just like when you yell at your kid. When you tell your kid, clean your room, it doesn't happen. and you say, clean your room or I'm going to spank you or I'm going to ground you. You can't spank anymore. I never said that. I don't spank my kid. You know, clean your room or you're grounded from your Nintendo and your Tesla or whatever the hell kids get nowadays. Like, that doesn't work. And then one day you're like, clean your freaking room. Well, you got to yell at them because that's the only way they get it. And so when they yell, and like when I say Bobert and Green, like I'm not like singling them out and saying they suck. I'm just saying like you're a woman in politics, which is great all in itself. And I'm not telling you what you need to do, but there are young ladies, there are young men that are looking up to you.
Yeah.
And you're setting an example. And I'm not picking on him. Pelosi, Schumer, Biden, Trump, Obama, Clinton, Bush, other Bush, whatever the hell, like all of them, everybody, you're setting the example for the next generation. And we used to be cognizant of that, and now we're not. And because by the time they're of age, all these politicians are going to be dead, except for that one lady who's still voting that already died. But yeah, but like they're going to be dead, so they don't have to deal with it. I don't know. I think that
it's tough. It's not an easy situation, but I think you're right. The shit's going to continue until the citizens say, "All right, I'm tired of this," and man, I worry about that. I do not want to see another civil war in this country because it'll be a mess. It'll be a lot of betas on the ground. It'll be a lot of blue helmets on the ground. But then it'll be the guys that are fighting for their rights that are going to be the extremists. And it's going to be a mess. But maybe that needs to happen. I don't want to see it happen. I'm definitely not calling for violence. Like, I do not want it. But I fear that it's going to come to that point.
I hope it doesn't, because if it turns into a civil war, it's going to then turn into a world war.
Oh, yeah.
Because the moment half of our people are down or injured or preoccupied,
creates a vacuum.
We're either getting China or Russia coming. They're coming.
Both.
They're going to, they're going to get us while we're down.
They're already here. They
are, but like that's when they're going to stand up and say, "Well, thank you guys, y'all made this easy." Like, cool.
Walk right in.
I think it's pretty obvious. Like, if you talk a little bit, like I have the benefit of, like I'll talk to almost anybody that follows me and sends me a DM. Like, I'll feel you out. Like, are you trying to sell me something? Are you just somebody who likes my stuff, trying to spark conversation? And so I do get to speak to lots of people like all over the world. Like, been talking to a guy who's Romanian but lives in France. Been talking to another guy who's on the island of Cyprus. Like, I talked to another guy that's in Belarus. You know, so it's like, and everybody's making it pretty obvious that people of the entire world are upset with their own government.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think a lot of our idea of what World War III will be is misconstrued in that we think countries are going to go to war with each other. And I think that it's going to be people are going to go to war with their governments.
It'll be ideals battling with people stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. But it would take, but what's really interesting is if you lock and I'm not going to say extreme, if you were to take your average Democrat and lock them in a room with your average Republican.
Wait, is she hot? Sorry.
Yes, she's hot.
Yes. If you locked both of them in a room together and you said, let's talk about our beliefs and, our political system and this, that, and the other. More often than not, just your average blue-collar American, doesn't matter what race, religion, creed, just your average blue-collar, there's so much more common ground than there is uncommon ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when your peers, once you're outside of that room, when the rest of your peers in your group are watching you, you can't show that weakness and say, well, hang on, guys, like they kind of make a point here. And while I agree with that, I don't agree with this, but neither did this guy. And like, we could probably come together and make something a whole lot that makes a whole lot more sense than what's going on right now. But the moment we do that, we would basically create chaos within itself because the government would force it. I think the government would force it and basically say that, you know, we have been infected.
That comes back to camping us out. Like they're just trying to make sure that there's divisive lines, and the more divisive lines they can create, the less likely we are to become friends, right? So if you're a Democrat and you're black, like we can't be friends. You know, the extremes of the mainstream media, what we only see what they want to show, right? And they're only going to show us the bad stuff to create division. And so I think it's important to have outlets of like us and like what Steve's doing. Like, this is some place that you can say what you want and your opinion is respected almost no matter what, and we can have dialogue and find common ground instead of always just fighting and being at each other's throats.
Well, so here's a question. Go ahead.
Kids are taught at a young age. Oh, sorry, Adam.
No, you're fine.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, kids are taught at a young age now in school just how to think. Or what to think, right?
Yeah.
Not how to research or anything. So I was doing some research for a show, and I read this article from, some stupid left-wing thing about gun violence, right? And I was like, I had probably 30 tabs open on my computer, and my daughter comes down. She's a freshman in high school. She's like, "What are you doing, Dad?" And I'm like, "I'm doing research. Like, I'm not going to listen to this article because I know they're lying. That guns are the leading cause of children, right? Death of children, which we know that's false."
Ooh.
Yeah.
And so,
CDC.
like, I had CDC open, I had FBI open, I've had all these different true statistics open to show her, hey, look, this is how you research a story. I don't care if it's Fox News. I hate Fox News, honestly. I don't care if it's Fox News. I don't care if it's CNN. You can't listen to the op-ed, which is their news. You got to go to the source and actually make a decision for yourself. And so,
but
kids,
you make that too hard.
They're not taught that. They're just saying, well, the teacher says this, it must be true.
Yeah, take everything
Steve,
for face value.
Steve, what article were you trying to debunk?
That was a Vox article from last year, 9 months ago. It says it was "What if we treated guns like cars?" or something was the headline of the article.
Oh crap!
We already do.
I just did on our last podcast. We just did that, and I was making relations to gun parts to car parts, and because of that, the Kidfluencers thing that came out from I think it was USA Today, but basically talking about how, you know, manufacturers are marketing to kids, and it's like, no, they can't buy guns. Like, quit being dumb. And we debunk all of it.
Shut up.
But cars was my passion before I was of age to own guns.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Even if someone doesn't know how to work on a car, most guys like cars or trucks in some shape or fashion. You might not like the European imports. You might be the American muscle guy, or you might be the Chevy guy, or the Ford guy, or the, God forbid, the Dodge guy. But you might be that guy.
Japanese guys.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, that new Honda Ridgeline's pretty dope.
It's kind of a cool
Yeah,
thing.
I'm just kidding.
It can fit
Honda's
4
a
bags
good
of
company,
groceries
man.
in the back.
That pickup looks like it's having a gender identity crisis, though.
I have 3 Hondas in my driveway.
But when they, you know, it's like when you come out, like we were looking at the CDC stuff, and it's like, well, they say kids, but they count kids up to 19 years old.
Well, in that
And
Vox
then-
article, it was
Gang members.
24.
Man. And then in that 19, that included anything from accidentals to suicides to homicides to gang related to, I even read after we published the podcast, I read after that even counted drug-related deaths when a firearm was found with the
present.
victim.
If you want to go on a fun journey, go to the Gun Violence Archive, which is anti-gun, and they have every mass shooting listed on their archive, and they're almost all gang shootings, drive-by, stuff like that. With we have
anything that more than one person was standing there, like
yeah, but it's classified.
Anytime there was 3 people around.
I was gonna say I don't know what the right number is. I just hate that like three is now considered mass, and I don't know. God, I don't want any more, but I mean,
it's the rule of 3, bro. That's the same with defensive shooting
like,
too. 3 shots, 3 yards, 3 seconds.
I don't know. It's just weird to me, but you know it. But then when you start looking, every person, not every, but the majority of people who were the shooters in the mass shootings, the majority of them were either, the majority of them were mentally unstable, and almost 99% of them had a red flag somewhere in their ledger within 6 months. And I know I'm not against, I'm not for taking people's rights away. But when you know something like that has happened, I think it would be perfectly acceptable for you to knock on the person's door and say, hey, look.
Well, how many times have we heard where the FBI comes out and says, well, they were on our radar. Over and over that they knew.
Oh, yeah. Well, they knew. I won't blame them saying, like, oh, they let it happen, because I understand you can't put a whole squad following this dude.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
you can do a knock and talk.
You can knock, and just by letting them know,
we know what you're talking about.
We have seen, hey, we understand you're going through some issues right now. We don't want it. We're not here to discuss those, but we're also here to tell you, we hope you're not thinking about doing anything that could affect the rest of your life. You don't ever want to say think about doing something stupid, because that's just negative words that are going to cause negative reaction. But, hey, you don't want to alter the rest of your life. You got people here who care about you. If you need someone to talk to, reach out to these people. But just know we're here if you need us. And, we just wanted to stop by because we know what the situation is.
This
just
part
by
gets
knowing
me
that situation, you're going to stop a percentage. I don't know the percentage because we've never done it. But that's going to stop a percentage of people. It's just like you look at the guy who's sitting there walking around seeing if he can put the whatever under his jacket, and it's like, hey man, I see you kind of walking around, and I don't know what you plan on doing with that, but just know that we have cameras, and like I'm out here patrolling and I'm watching and stuff. So like, just don't make any bad decisions today, because I would hate for this day to end poorly. Dude, that dude's gonna put whatever he's got right back, walk away.
Yeah.
Like,
this part gets me so fired up, Mike. It gets me so fired up because we have like all this huge mass to just disarm people, and all like stricter, more strict background searches. There needs to be a background. Like, we are not using the informational assets that our government already has to the benefit that they are providing. Every single large attack on the American populace since September 11th, or even before, but that's just like in my lifetime. I was a middle schooler at that time. Like,
oh my god,
just in my lifetime.
Holy hell!
A middle schooler.
I might be the oldest guy on this
35
show.
years old. 35 years old.
I'm 44.
So,
Right.
But everything since then, there's been some sort of like notification to intelligence agencies, FBI, CIA, whoever it be. There's been some sort of notification, and the answer has always been like, "Oh, well, we didn't act." It's like, well, you had the knowledge already. Why are people calling for more knowledge, more information, more strict this, when we have the knowledge and we are not using it?
It's not really what they want. They want the gun registry, and they want the list, not to prevent the crimes. It's just to know who has them.
Exactly.
They already know that, like they said, all these red flags are already up. There was prior knowledge of most of these assaulters. There was already prior knowledge. They didn't do anything about it.
Already, almost every single fucking one of them.
They need
There's
the
a reason
drama
why.
because it gives them the opportunity to enact more control. It's
Exactly.
a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The FBI has so much blood on their hands.
Prophecies.
The FBI has so much blood on their hands. It's disgusting.
Almost as much as the Clintons.
I don't say certain things, but almost as if they were like
I'll drink
responsible
that.
for it or something.
Hey guys, this
Pisses
is
me off.
man, I love this conversation, but I know we're kind of getting to the end point of like kind of where we're at. But I want to ask you all a question. We talked about civil wars and all this craziness and bringing people together and separation. So when's the last time this country, in history, recently-ish, when is the last time this country came together and why?
9/11.
9/11.
Why?
9/11.
Why?
Because someone other
we
than
felt attacked.
we were attacked by someone other than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And for once, it put us
So
all
there
in
was
check
a
that
lot
we
of-
realized we actually needed each other. 9/12 was 9/12
Sure.
was amazing. But I could go to the gas station. We were giving each other, a hug, and nobody would be freaking out. We were buying American flag stickers. Didn't matter what party you belonged to. We
We were actually allowed to say "God bless America" and not get a mean remark.
Exactly. I will tell you this.
I think that Democrats and Republicans are we are all family. We are family in this country, but we are like family in that respect of I can punch my brother and my brother can punch me. But there's no way in hell that guy over there is going to punch my brother.
Okay.
If he punches my brother, I'm standing up and we're both going to fight that guy.
You're
And
right.
That's the last time.
Okay,
In my
well,
opinion. I mean, there were glimmers.
No,
there were
no,
glimmers
you're
for
right.
certain
You're all
things,
No.
but it's 9/11.
No, 9/11. Here's what I'll tell you this. If you think in this country, go back to any issue ever in life, if you think that this country's going to come together without a hardship, you're wrong. We are going to have a devastating hardship
It's
in this
gonna take a
country
hardship.
to come back together. There's no way. There's no other way. And people want sunshines and rainbows. But I will say this.
Biden and Kamala wasn't it?
Not even close. It's going to take a... God damn it, Mike. I was on a fucking roll. I will tell you this. This country is going to have a hardship that they've never had before to come back together. And it sucks. I hate to say it, but I bet I'm right.
It's coming.
Yeah.
We're gonna work for it
suck.
anyways.
It's going to
We're
suck.
gonna work for it
No,
anyways.
we're all going to suffer in some way, shape, or form. But that's the only way this country's going to come back together.
And that's why it's so important now that we develop, just like from the very beginning of this conversation, that's why we need each other more now than any time in history. We
100%.
need to be together, all of us. Quit the
No, I
bullshit,
agree to
quit
that.
the backbiting. Let's just get it over with and be buddies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like, it's going to take that secret meeting between, the left and the right. Hey, like, don't tell mom and dad we're meeting. And we have to meet. And then it's like, now we're going to stand up together to mom and dad. Like, that's like you're standing up to your parents. Like, that's kind of what we have to do. Because it's so interesting. You look at today. I was looking at a stat, and I can't say where I saw it because I can't remember, but I was looking at a stat, and of course, divorce is at an all-time high. But what I saw that was interesting is, in today's world, fathers are more prevalent in children's life today than they were 5 years ago.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And so I believe there's a correlation of right and wrong, and it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with, say it jokingly, but, like, oh, good old 1960s white America, mom stayed home, old dad went to the factory to work and came home, and you had little
But it was a
little
great
boy and girl
life.
there, and like what, like the Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
was
know
just
that's
thinking that
probably
very
way
same thing.
past. I know it's way past your time. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you saw that on
I
Nick at
watched
Night.
Leave It to
Matt,
Beaver. Are
but-
you serious?
Nick
But,
at
like,
Night, yeah.
Only B.
Yeah, but like that, we're past that, and I'm not trying to go cultural or racial or anything. Like, there are, for every person out there that says that, you know, black fathers should be more involved in their kids' lives, I'm also going to double down and say white fathers should, and so should Hispanic, and so should Asian, and so I don't
Well, it
care
should
what
be
you
American
are.
fathers should be
Oh,
more
Yeah.
involved.
well, I don't forget
Fathers.
American. I'll go globally. Like all
Father.
fathers. Like if
Yeah.
you
Fathers.
created something, if you created something, you know, you may not be financially ready. You may not be mentally ready. I'm here to tell you, I had a kid 8 years ago, and I still wasn't ready for that. Like
Bro,
you're
I
never ready.
never
It's
had a daddy,
never
and I don't
perfect.
have any kids. You want to talk about complexes from not having
Yeah,
fathers?
but what I'm saying though is like there's never the perfect time. There's never the perfect time to jump out of that airplane. There's never a perfect time to be a father. There's never a perfect time to open a business. Like there's never a perfect time.
Yeah.
But I encourage, and that goes for mothers too, though. That just goes for
parents.
just parents in general. I'm not going to go on the preaching marriage thing. It's just hey, dude, like if you've got a kid, if you're allowed to be there, be there. If you're not allowed, hey, I get it. You got to do what you got to do. But good values and good morals start at home. And whether your home is perfect or broken, the morals don't have to be.
Mother Teresa said, "If you want to change the world, go home and love your children."
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I've got 4 kids. My oldest is 21. There's things you get from being a dad that you cannot supplement anywhere else. It's impossible.
For sure.
And it is absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. It's not easy.
Most of them are infectious diseases. I just got COVID from one of mine.
Damn kids, anyways.
Oh,
It's full
fuck.
of frustration, and there's times you wanna rip whatever hair you have out left, and I mean,
Or theirs.
but the reality is that frustration, that tribulation, those hard times create a bond with your children that it's the only way to get it, the only way, and it is 100% worth it.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the end
I
of
mean-
the day, our greatest accomplishments are the values and the lessons that we leave behind. And I heard someone say once, when you look at someone said, when you look at my tombstone, when I die and you look at my tombstone, don't look at the dates. What's important is the dash in the middle. The first date was when I was born. The last date was when I was dead. The dash. That's what's important. And I want people to remember my dash. So whatever your dash may be, whether you have kids, you don't have kids, whether you're heterosexual or any other preference, it's not my business.
Yeah.
It's not for me to judge. It's for someone else to. But like, make your dash worth it. And, I don't know. It's just that common courtesy. Leave the world a better place than you found it.
Man,
Great.
that's
Like-
profound, Mike.
Great.
I'll drink to that.
Amen.
Not coffee.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cheers, gentlemen. Steve, we greatly appreciate you having you on the show. Thank you for coming on. Like, honestly, man, we want to return the favor. We'd love to come on your podcast as well. And we really appreciate
Hell
it,
yeah.
brother.
Awesome show today, boys. We had a great guest on. We want to thank Steve from Range Minded Podcast for joining us today. We appreciate you, brother. We'll be definitely seeing some more of him in the future. Had some great news. Really, all around, I think a great show. I don't have a
Hell
whole
yeah.
lot of closing remarks. What did you guys have anything else you wanted to say today before I sign us out of here?
Nah, man, it was a great show. Appreciate you, Steve. And yeah, man, thank you.
Yeah. Don't forget, go follow us on the Whiskey and Windage Reviews page. Don't forget to follow us on Whiskey and Windage. And all of the Spotify, all that.
Yeah, catch us on
Wow.
Spotify, Apple Google anywhere that you like to listen to podcasts. You'll be able to find Whiskey and Windage there. So don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell wherever you're at. We'll check y'all later. Thanks again.